Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hardly.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close.
I hear high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham. Scott, self-quarantining as always. Hello, Scott.
Yeah, Sean. Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I've been, on some video chats with friends and doing some work, so I'm feeling pretty good today.
Good. I think as we approach this long weekend, we can all enjoy the fact that we can take some time and stay in. It's a nice little change of pace. But no, I agree. It's been nice to if this had happened like 25 years ago, would have been, I think, a lot harder. At least this way, through all the technology we have, we can keep in touch. And in all seriousness, I think with the holiday coming up, at least in Canada, I believe, I haven't read anything to the contrary, but I believe that, the service industry, those that are still working, will still get Friday and Sunday off. That, grocery stores and stuff are going to be closed. And, good, because those people deserve a couple days. They deserve more, but certainly they deserve a couple days off for just the yeoman's work they've been doing over the past few weeks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's well worth it for everyone, and that's all.
Yes. So today we have, as we've talked about, we're going to do some lighter shows here as we make our transition into the summer season. And Scott, one of the things that we make fun of, certainly on our Twitter feed a lot, and it filters into the show more frequently than I think we would care to admit, is the curling commercials. There's the way TSN and Curling Canada sell advertising is that they sell it to the companies and they run those ads seemingly every end. Like there's no diversity it's not the Super Bowl where people are buying a 30-second ad and that's all you see from them. This is constant and just frequent, and you learn these commercials word for word by the end of the season of champions. And we thought it would be fun to go through. We've selected the 15 most frequent commercials from this season, and we're going to power rank them, Scott.
Yeah. When you say most frequent, it's not like we went through and checked which ad is being played more than the others. We dropped the analytics after last week's episode. These are the 15 that we thought of.
Yeah, so we went through and these were ones that are sort of off the top of our head, because Curling Canada, when they've put games on YouTube, they rightly cut the commercials out of them. So you just run straight through. So these are the ones that we could think of. And I don't know, Scott, maybe we've missed something, but I certainly obviously can't think of anything we've missed, because we got a lot here and there's not that many commercials in the rotation.
Yeah, but if, as always, if any of our listeners have personal favorites that we've left off, if they feel aggrieved in any way,
yes,
sure, let us know.
All good. So we have 15 commercials here. We're going to rank them from our least favorite to our favorite. And, favorite, you might be able to even just put in quotation marks there. Because I don't know, do we legitimately like any of these, Scott?
I would say there's a few that are really good the first one or two times you see it.
Okay.
And it has diminishing returns.
Okay. Well, they all do.
Right. So there are some that I just really don't like. First off, don't like it. There are some that I like and then I dislike and then I like them again, where
right,
it gets to the point where it's so absurd that you're kind of like, okay, I get it.
Right.
And then there's some that are like well-made ads but have like these weird things about them that if you really dig or think like an extra second, it becomes crazy.
Yeah. Which is easy to do because you see them 800 times.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's easy to overthink these.
We will definitely dive deep into the ones that cause us the most angst or
Yes.
grief.
Yes. The one thing I'll say too, the one I do miss, or I have missed this season, the WFG commercials. Not
Yes.
all of them. Some of them were terrible. The ones with Jennifer Jones were just amazing, and I do miss those a lot. So I just want to give a shout out to those. And they weren't great ads. They didn't make me want to go to WFG at all. But now that it's gone, I kind of miss seeing Jennifer Jones talk about her family and the security that WFG gave her, and Lang is just sort of there, and we don't give him any lines. I kind of miss that. So so just give a
honorable mention.
Honorable mention there. So as we said, we picked out 15. How do you want to do this, Scott? Just we'll just go through our lists. We'll do my 15th, your 15th, and just go through them.
Yeah, and if your 15th is different from mine, I'll tell you where I ranked that one.
Okay. So all right, so let's get into it. I will start with my 15th. This is by far my least favorite commercial of the rotation. And really all the commercials under this umbrella would fit into it, but the one I hate the most is the Home Hardware shark shovel commercial, where you can flip the shovel over and it can get into the ice, and at the end of it they're in the store and the salesman like flips it over and like sort of almost like pokes it at the woman, and she's like, it's a shark, and then they sort of laugh about it. I hate this commercial.
Yeah, it's
so
horrible.
Much.
It's horrible, Sean. If some guy selling me a shovel, well, first off, if I go into a hardware store, I don't need the guy to show me, oh, this is the best shovel. It's a shovel. Who cares? Yeah,
this is how a shovel works. Like, thank you.
And then if he tries to tease me and give a little boop, I'm leaving the store.
Yes.
There's no chance I'm buying this shovel if I have any sort of interaction with the staff.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I can't stand it when it comes on. I hate the voiceover of it with like that deep, trying to make it sound epic.
Yeah, it's sort of like a movie trailer.
Yeah, it's just so dumb, and like it's like the ice doesn't have a chance. Like okay. I mean, it's still plastic. I mean, maybe it's a good product. I don't know. But, I've been, in my 34 years in this country, I have come to believe that I will always take the ice. In a battle between shovel and ice, I'm picking the ice.
Yeah, the ice doesn't lose too many.
No, so I hate that one. I will say, within this umbrella you mentioned before we started to record, there's the sous vide commercial, the Curadori cooker thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the same category. I don't dislike it as much as the shark shovel. What I don't understand is, why are these two people friends?
That's the thing, Sean, right? Like, they're having this fight over who can cook the best meal for the other person.
Right.
And like, this has never happened before, where I invite somebody over for spite because I think I can cook a better dinner than them. Like, it's the most insane idea that's ever happened. They're trying to make it like some kind of an Iron Chef thing, but like, why? It's ridiculous. And the guy eats your food and he's like, "Oh man, your food is better than mine." And what? You're super happy?
Yeah, you've given him a delicious meal at your house, and you're gonna have to clean up.
Yeah, and you're the one that paid
win
for that, presumably, right? Like, great, cool story. If I buy the best steaks and I cook it the best, and you gave me craft dinner the last time I was over at your house, I wouldn't be like, haha,
right,
I win the competition of dinner.
Yeah.
Hey, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, at least for as much as I hate the shark shovel at the end where they sort of laugh and it's like, oh, cute, like, at least they're being friendly to each other. There's no acknowledgement at the end of this commercial that these two guys are friends at all, right?
Yeah,
it's not like, yeah, I won, and they're like, oh, ha, 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 ha. No, it's like, I won, I hate you, get out of my house now. Like, it's so strange. So neither of those commercials make me want to purchase the product. So I have that down in my 15th spot.
Right, and we should mention, Sean, that we're going to tweet out the links to all of these ads as well on YouTube.
The ones we could find. There's some that some of these companies don't want to share.
Yeah, exactly. So my numbers are all mixed up here, Sean, but I think I had this number 12 on my list.
Okay.
So pretty low.
So low, yeah.
pretty
All right.
low.
But not your worst one. So what do you got in the worst spot?
So your mileage may vary on this, but my worst ad is the ad that we saw so many times this year advertising Manitoba, where Canada's heart beats. Sean, all this ad is for fishing. It's like a bunch of people fishing. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like basically telling me that Manitoba is nothing but cabins and lakes and forests, and there's no people there. There's no cities. You want to get here? Like, good luck. You're going to have to take a pontoon plane and get in. And I just don't understand why they're advertising like, come to Manitoba for fishing in the summer during the curling season in the winter.
It is strange, but we did see the same thing during some event last season that was in Saskatchewan. Maybe it was the Grand Slam that was in Saskatchewan, where they had a Saskatchewan tourism commercial, and none of it was shot in the winter.
Right.
And maybe for domestic travel, for domestic tourism, I think more of that does happen in the summer than domestic winter tourism.
If we harken back to when the Women's Worlds was in North Bay, there was quite a bit of North Bay advertising, but I found it quite good. It was talking about, come to see the Northern Lights, and here's like a bunch of things to do all seasons. In the winter you can go ice fishing.
In the summer, Northern Lights in North Bay.
Occasionally you can.
Really? I lived there for 3 years. I never saw them.
Sean, I did a course on space weather where there was an event in the 1800s where you could see it as far south as Colombia. Can you believe that?
Wow. That's wow. The Aurora Borealis getting around.
Yeah, so it is possible to see them in North Bay, and that I kind of understood because it fit with all seasons, and we were having the event in North Bay. But Manitoba, like, what event was in Manitoba this year? I don't know. None of them?
No, it wasn't oh no, maybe you're right.
And I'm not the target audience for the fishing vacation. So that's my number 15 ad. I really don't like it.
The Canada Cup, was the Canada Cup in Manitoba this year?
No,
it was in Alberta, Leduc, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That, I don't hate this one as much as you do. I have it actually middle of the road. I have it at number 8, and I like that it kind of feels epic, right? With the big swooping shots, most of which I assume were done by drone. I kind of like the music to it. I don't like the tagline, just like you, of Canada's heart, ellipses, beats. I don't like that at all. But I'm not as down on it as you are, because at least with like the swooping vistas and the song, I think the fact that there's no real voiceover here is very helpful to the commercial in terms of just rewatchability, or at the very least just ignoring it. It's easier to ignore because there's no voiceover. So, and it's pretty. I think it's a pretty ad.
Okay.
So I don't have it down at 15. Or excuse me, that low. I have it there. Number 8, just in the middle of the pack, slightly below halfway. So number 14 for me, Scott. This one, it's not a new one, but it's still in heavy rotation. This is the Sponge Towels commercial where the child is making a volcano from science class, and all of the sponge towel characters are on walkie-talkies talking about how it's going to blow, and then it finally blows up, and they swarm in, and they're like, I love my job, and they go in and clean everything up. I can't stand these guys. I hate them so much. They've been in my life, I feel like, for 10 years. This idea of the personification of a sponge towel, and they love their job because they can clean up spills, and I can't stand this at all. There's nothing about it that I find endearing. I just really, whenever it comes on, I just want to get out of the room.
Okay. This one for me, Sean, is at 8.
Okay.
Because I think it suffers from the overuse.
Yes.
First couple times you see it, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And seeing the kid's volcano explode is kind of fun. And the way he's like, oh no, she's adding vinegar. That's bad. And so it doesn't bother me that much, but I'll agree that as you see it more and more often, it definitely gets worse and worse.
Yeah. And why are the sponge towel guys around the house?
Well, because Scotties towel's always available.
Yeah, but if I have a roll of paper towel, it's it's in one spot. I'm not leaving one sheet of paper towel here, one here, one here. I'm not just having random individual sheets of paper towel all over my house. I have the roll, and then when I need it, I grab the roll and I might have multiple rolls in different, one in the kitchen. I might have one in the bathroom. I might have one in a kid's playroom if they're doing stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not leaving just individual sheets around my house ready to jump on any spill that happens.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I find that a little strange. But that's my 14. What do you got down in the number 14 spot?
I got this Ag Direct hail insurance commercial that we saw this year. The reason being, maybe you can tell, but most of the ads I have really low are things that I don't care at all about. Because having an ad for hail insurance...
You realize you just said that you don't care about Manitoba. The whole province, you don't care.
I mean, I don't care about visiting Manitoba as a sport fisherman.
Okay.
Right. They've got the Human Rights Museum. Why don't we show that? And anyway, the idea that farmers are watching curling is something that we'll talk a lot more about as this list goes on. There's definitely a big demographic of people who curl are farmers, and to be honest, if you're thinking, oh, maybe I should change my hail insurance to this company because I saw their ad watching curling, really? Is that how hail insurance works? I have no idea. So the ad doesn't make much sense to me. I don't like that there's all these guys, maybe in the age of social distancing, watching the farmers gather around with their trucks all backed up together. So everybody's standing at the tailgate of their truck and they're shooting the breeze about hail insurance. I mean, let's get something better on there.
Yeah, it feels a little disjointed where it goes from them having a meeting to then seeing clips of Mike McEwen making a shot to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand that in Manitoba and Saskatchewan and Alberta, that's where the majority of the curling audience in this country is, and a lot of people in those provinces are involved in agriculture. So I do understand having agricultural advertisements in curling. It makes logical sense to me because that's where your audience is. So I'm not as perplexed by it as you seem to be in terms of why those ads are there. It seems to make sense to me. I don't like that it's forcing the two together, because hail insurance and Mike McEwen making a shot don't really have anything to do with each other.
Yeah.
That's my bigger problem.
And you've got testimonials from the farmers, and then the president of the insurance company, and they're showing in a boardroom meeting, but
it's not
confusing.
great. Yeah, it's sort of a little all over the place. Feels a little shoehorned. So I agree. I have that down at number 11 in mine.
Right on.
So I'm not crazy about that one either. At number 13, I'm going to stick with the agricultural theme. I'm going with the New Holland Pioneer Passion for Farming commercial. Same thing. There's no. Again, I understand why they want to advertise agricultural products on these broadcasts. It makes sense to me, but this commercial doesn't get me excited for farming or the products. It goes from boardroom to field to family dinner to field to boardroom. It doesn't really. I don't understand what the narrative is other than farmers are cool. Well, and I also don't know what they're advertising. I don't know what I'm supposed to buy after this commercial.
Yeah, they're talking about how agriculture is a lot like farming, you're on a team, right?
Well, agriculture is farming.
Oh yeah, curling is a lot like farming. Oh boy, we are definitely not the target audience for these ads.
No, we're definitely not.
On the honorable mention, Sean, there's a New Holland ad where it's like the family in the field, and they're talking about, I believe that farming shows the true character of a man.
That's on the list.
That's another one?
Yeah, that's on this list.
Okay, so that's the one I didn't rank, and I would put it definitely at the bottom, because watching your children grow tall in the sun is my least favorite line of advertising that I've ever heard.
Okay, that's fair.
And because totally can't go in the sun because I'm pale and I don't want to see my children grow tall in the sun. I want to see them grow average height in the shade.
Average height in the shade.
Ideally.
Okay. I want to correct myself too. The Mike McEwen winning the shot is in this commercial. Sorry, not the Ag Direct Hail insurance commercial. So I need to correct myself on that. Yeah, the Ag Direct is like they're hanging out with the trucks. Yeah, there's no direct curling in there, which maybe even makes it worse. I don't know in terms of why we have to see it so much. But there is like the family barbecue and hanging out and all that. So, I mean, they're very similar in tone.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this one at number 13.
So we're the same.
We're the same.
Okay, all right. So let's move on to number 12. Number 12. This one, I don't know, Scott, might get me in a little trouble. Assuming we're not in trouble with the prairies already, is
too late.
This one. It's one of the Tim Hortons commercials. This is the bean selection commercial where we see Sharon, who has worked for Tim Hortons for 20 years or whatever, and she talks about how good the beans are, how Tim Hortons rejects one of every 10 bags of beans they get, and how they only use 100% top Arabica beans. And, she's asked, do you think Canadians know how good the coffee is? And she's like, I think they only care about how it tastes. And I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't drink coffee and I don't care. I don't know what an Arabica bean is. This commercial doesn't do anything for me. I don't care. It doesn't make me want to go to Tim Hortons whatsoever. But again, I don't drink coffee. I'm not in the target demo for this. So what do you think?
So Arabica beans they just have the origin in Arabia of Arabian coffee. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always grown there. I think it's been exported as well. So when she talks about we use premium 100% Arabica beans, there's no mention of whether it's fair trade or organic or anything, which leads me to believe it's not. If they reject one in every 10 bags of beans, how terrible must those rejected beans be given the quality of Tim Hortons beans? I think we talked about this during the season, and I feel like Sharon has kind of a Massachusetts accent a little bit. She sounds a bit New Englandy to me.
Okay.
Which puts me off a bit because I'm thinking Canadians are the you don't want to have in any TV ad that's supposed to be a national spot. You don't want much regionality.
Right.
That's sort of a TV thing, right? Because you want it to be, maybe this could be someone from anywhere in your speaking accent. Like voiceover people don't sound like Newfoundlanders, for instance. Yep. Except in the Come Visit Newfoundland commercial. So overall, I really don't like this one. It makes me feel like Tim Hortons is being disingenuous with their coffee's not good enough for them to run an entire ad claiming our coffee is so great.
Right.
Their coffee is, we'll talk about this in another Tim Hortons ad, but their coffee is a Canadian's choice because in large part, it was the only choice for a long time.
Yes, and whenever you see surveys now, they're not ranked highly, certainly in those sorts of things. So I will say the commercial does identify Sharon as at least working in Ancaster, Ontario.
Yeah, that's true. So
but yeah, there's just something about it, and like then yeah, you see like she's standing there as somebody's operating a forklift and taking a pallet down from the top and like moving it around. Like it just it doesn't do much for me. So so I have that down at number 12. What's your?
That was my number 11.
Okay.
So we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
My number 12. Let me scroll through my list here. Was the shark shovel.
Okay. So yeah, we've gone over that. That was my last place finisher.
So what was your number 11?
So my number 11 was Ag Direct Hail, which we've already talked about. So we're sort of on the same page here on the ones we like the least so far.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. So
what do you got at 11?
So mine was the Tim Hortons at 11. So at number 10, I'll switch to number 10.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
I've got this Scotties soft sorbent talking baby.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have that at 10 as well. Go. Like I could go on this forever, but yeah, go ahead.
So the biggest, there's like some super weird things. This is obviously cute and kind of funny. This woman is like having hallucinations in the grocery store. The first thing to notice is that she's standing in an entire row full of toilet paper, which is something you'll never see nowadays.
No.
And it's like all Scotties, or it's all. Was it?
It's all, I think it's all Scotties. Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's very obviously an edited part where she turns to pick up and it says talking baby. Oh, a talking baby. And her mouth doesn't show towards the camera like her saying that. So it's clearly like put in afterwards in post. My favorite part is the grandma.
Yes.
Saying like, it's soft sorbent. And then the weird like muscly dude I don't really understand. Anyway, a lot of stuff with this one. But when the baby makes that noise is like now somewhat triggering when watching curling on TV. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, what's crazy, what I don't understand though, the baby doesn't say anything. The baby sounds like a baby and makes a baby noise. And then when she's like, whoa, talking baby. No, the baby hasn't said any words. Like when you like it makes no sense. At the bottom of the screen, they have to put what the baby quote unquote says. So it's not a talking baby, it's a baby that made a noise that you are interpreting as like it wouldn't have been hard
to just dub it, right?
To dub it and have like someone do a baby voice of soft sorbent.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense. Like this, like is this woman having a fever dream? Has she been tested for coronavirus? Like, is she just like what is going on? It makes no sense to me. Like, okay, when it starts and she looks at the packaging and she's like soft sorbent, and then yeah, the older woman's there, and then like big muscly guy is there. I assume it's like to imply that everybody can enjoy this product, I guess. But the talking baby just makes so little sense to me.
Yeah.
Like the subtitle of it, the other thing. Where's this? Like the child's parents are presumably there shopping, but like why?
Why is there no one attending to this baby?
Yeah. Why is there just like an unobstructed view of this child? What is going on? What is going on in this store? And yes, why is it one aisle completely of just one product? What store is this?
It's excellent. It's excellent.
Yeah. So I have that in my number 10 spot as well. It just I can't stand it.
You know what? It's kind of growing on me now that we're talking about it. But, all right, so you had that at number 10 as well.
Yeah.
What's your number 9?
So number 9, I have another Tim Hortons commercial. This is the Time for Canada commercial. This is a longer spot, and it was shown way more during the Scotties than we got it during the Briar, interestingly enough, for a Tim Hortons commercial, that we got it more during the Scotties than the Briar. This is where we go through a 24-hour period in Canada, and they just show Tim Hortons storefronts from different places across the country, where the voiceover is saying basically we're always ready, for the kids hockey team that just won, for the first responders who need their coffee right away, my favorite line is for the senior citizens who are gathering to brag about their grandchildren, because I think our grandparents did that, Scott. And I just, I don't know. It's another one that, you just see the storefronts and they basically describe groups of people who are going to get coffee. And I sort of, at the end of it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So in the day of Canada, in a 24-hour period in Canada, a lot of different people drink coffee. Like, thank you.
Yeah, I thought I have this one a little higher. I have it at 6, and I kind of like the choices that they made to just show the outside of different stores. This way we're not, there's no annoying employee telling us about the new donut that they've created. It's basically explaining through the images and the voiceover the ubiquity of Tim Hortons in Canada and sort of why its mission sort of to be there for every Canadian sort of everywhere. And seeing the store in Iqaluit and some of the smaller outposts throughout the country, some places I've been to even, that I'm like, oh yeah, I drove through that town. I didn't stop and get Tim Hortons, but so I kind of liked it, and it does a better job of expressing Tim Hortons' mission without telling me that the coffee is great. It's there because that's what Canadians do.
Yeah, and I do think too that I have this one higher than the bean commercial because you're right, it's not coffee specific.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of Tim Hortons sandwiches, for instance. Although at some point, whenever I've looked for it recently, which to be fair has only been in airports, they seem to have gotten rid of the chicken salad, which makes me sad. But in general, like if I have a Tim Hortons sandwich, I'm fine. Like it's a good sandwich, and I'm satisfied with it. So, that's what I like it a little more for. But the other thing, they don't, at least in the commercial, acknowledge time zones.
Right.
So that I find troubling. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think I was ruined on Tim Hortons coffee, Sean, because I worked shifts overnight for 5 years when I lived in Montreal, and the only place open 24 hours was the Tim Hortons across the street.
Right.
So on night shift, at 2 a.m., you need a little push to get you through the rest of the night, and that would be going to Tim Hortons. And their coffee, to me, it's like it really speeds up my heart, and it affects me a little more than some other coffee. So
right. So so that would affect your enjoyment of the commercial.
Yeah,
I think
jet fuel. Oof.
I think, Scott, that's the first one that either of us have had in the top half.
Yeah, you're right.
Of the ones we've talked about. But I have that at number 9. You have it at number 6. So what's your number 9?
So I'm gonna get into Curling Canada here, Sean.
Wow, really?
And I'm going to give you the Curling Canada interview with Chelsea Carey.
Wow.
Yeah, number 9. I like the Kevin Cooey one more, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
The one with Chelsea Carey, it seems to me like she's acting like a little too much, which is not a fair thing because she's not an actor, and she's a curler. Yeah. But this one was kind of silly because all it was somebody falling out of the duct.
Yeah.
Like, is it true that curling fans get closer and then somebody fell out of the duct? Like, why wasn't it somebody just sort of peeking in from the side of the set or popping up from behind the desk looking for an autograph or something? Why not something like that? Like, I really don't understand, because it implies that this person was sneaking to try and get closer when the message is that you come to these events and you can get close.
Right.
So for that reason, I decided this one was not so great. Plus, like, the person might have been hurt. And
I'm sure the person wasn't hurt.
Well, Doug says she's okay, which is a kind of funny line. But, like the Kevin Cooey one, which we'll talk about, was just head and shoulders above this one, that I put this one in my bottom half.
Wow. Okay. I have this at number 2. I like this one. I really like this commercial. I like it because when the person is falling, she yells Chelsea. that makes me laugh.
Okay.
That like half second that she's falling and she just screams Chelsea. I also like. I think this is the best use of Chelsea Carey in a commercial like this. As you say, none of the curlers are actors, and it's a similar thing with the Cooey commercials that we'll talk about. They don't really put them in position where they have to say a lot or do a lot. She just has to sit there and keep a straight face, and I think she does a really good job of it. And the way she says yes, sort of unperturbed about what has just happened. That's sort of what or at least what I think of Chelsea Carey. That sort of when she's playing, very steely, very in the game, very focused. It's not going to get distracted. So I think it's an effective use of Chelsea Carey. But again, for me, the whole thing in this commercial is, given rewatchability, I can watch that half second of this person falling and screaming Chelsea. That makes the commercial for me.
And it is a short one, right? It's like a 15-second spot.
Yeah.
So it should get extra points for being short. I agree.
Yeah. So I have that one much higher than you do. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We're diverging.
We are diverging now as we get closer to the top half. So we'll get into my number 8, as we mentioned already, Scott, is the Manitoba Canada's Heart commercial.
Did you say your number 9 or no?
It was the Time for Canada.
Time for Canada, right? Okay. So 7.
Well, what was your 8? Have we talked about it?
That's a good question. Mine was the kid making volcano sponge towels.
Yes. Okay, yeah. So we talked about that. So let's get into number 7. What do you got there?
Oh boy, Sean. I'm coming for Curling Canada again.
Oh my God.
This is their lumberjack try curling commercial.
Yes.
This is the kind of ad that at the first 1 or 2 times you see it, it's pretty funny. Then you see it every end nonstop.
Yeah.
And it becomes super annoying.
Yep.
And the when they say, and you call yourself a Canadian,
I hate that line.
Is the worst line reading. Like having them say it in unison, I don't like.
Yeah.
Him saying sorry is kind of funny afterwards, but it's one of those ones that it's good at first, and then the more you see it, it becomes super, super annoying.
Yes, and they play it in the arena before every game.
And the shot of him sliding with a rock at the end is so obviously green screened that it's hard to not notice it.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the in unison line of the two of them saying, "And you call yourself a Canadian?" It's nails on a chalkboard.
And their faces are just in such a like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy's never curled before. Like, ugh.
But I don't understand. I also don't understand, what is the premise of this commercial? Because they're hiking or walking through the woods, and they come across this lumberjack.
And they're like, wow, that's really Canadian.
That's so Canadian. So are these two people Canadian?
Yeah,
because they're like making fun of him as he eats poutine and drinks maple syrup. So it's like they're almost putting down these stereotypes, and then they're like, oh, and if he was a curler, and he's holding a curling rock and a broom as he says, I've never been curling before. Then why do you have a curling rock and a broom, my man?
Well, we could get into the logistics of the magical lumberjack in the woods, but I don't think we need to. But yeah, that I find pretty annoying. It's like I say, it's good at first. It's annoying now. We'll see if it. I think maybe like at the beginning of curling season, the first time you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that ad, and then you don't need to see it anymore
ever again. No. And I think the fact that Curling Canada has decided to lean on this one in the arena makes it that much worse.
Yeah, that's true. We should mention, I didn't see any of the ads during the Brier. I think I missed 2 or 3 draws where I watched on TV, but almost none. So I'm going back a bit more to the Scotties and Canada Cup and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, we saw bean selection a lot during the Brier. So actually, I forgot to rank that one. So that means I have one on my list that you don't have on your list somewhere.
I think that one is the Pioneer Hybrid one.
Okay.
which I know is coming up on your list somewhere.
Yes, definitely is on my list somewhere. So you had that at number 7. I have the New Holland commercial with the Hunter brothers at number 7.
Okay.
This is where the Hunter family, they're a band, the Hunter brothers. They also own a family farm, and they're talking about growing up and the responsibility they have of being on the land while one of their songs is playing underneath, and you get the big wide swoops of them like jumping in their tractor and then driving the tractor through the field. This one, I think it's slightly above average just because there is the rewatchability. I think it's a pretty good song. It's a catchy song. I'm not familiar with the Hunter brothers and their oeuvre, but I do enjoy this song and sort of the snippet we get of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also am sort of nonplussed about the whole, family side of it. Which is strange because family farming is such a big part of this country's history, but at the same time you have this, international company who is involved in mass agriculture is leaning on family farming to sell you their products. There's that disconnect in my mind that I find just a little strange.
Yeah, okay, Sean. I'm not a historian. I don't think about how family farming built Canada and the Western identity and all that stuff that you know way more about than most people. But I have this song at number 2.
Okay.
I call it a song because it's more a song than an ad.
I agree, and I'm not going to argue with you on that because the song is good, and relative to everything else.
And we want Twine Time to be retweeting this podcast, and he has shown a lot of love for this ad on social media. So I like the song. I find there's a scene where they jump with their guitars, and it looks like it's just like half a beat off the song, like the timing isn't quite right. And I do think that's kind of silly to be jumping with your guitar when there's nobody around.
Sure.
But I really like the song, the scenes of like the families all together, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on anything that you said. There is also what we'll tweet out to is the extended version. There's like a 3.5-minute version of this ad that you can find as well that has a little more of the song in it, and you get a little more of the family history. So I had that one there at number 7.
7, and I had it at 2, and I think I had heard this song before, but I'm not sure where I would have heard it. I don't really listen to the radio.
Right. So what do you have at number 7?
Number 7 was my Lumberjack.
Right, of course, yeah, Lumberjack. Number 6 then, Scott. Let's get into number 6. This is the hybrid for me. Clubroot and Sclerotinia. Where you got the canola. It's canola beans, right? That they're trying to sell you.
Yeah.
And
I think canola and soy.
Canola and soy. So they're trying to sell canola and soybeans, and they're talking about how they've come up with this new way to prevent Sclerotinia and Clubroot. Now, I don't want to make fun of this too much because obviously those are legitimate problems for people who farm these products, and that if you lose a whole crop in a season, that could be devastating for a family farm. So, we don't want to make fun of it, but I just find it entertaining when they talk about it as if everybody who's watching the commercial knows exactly what it is. They're not trying. They're obviously not trying to get me to be overly concerned about it. Urban person in Eastern Canada. They don't care about me at all. They're speaking directly to their target audience. And that's one of the reasons I like it too, is they're not trying to appeal to everybody. They know who they need to sell to and they're going for it.
So, Sean, do you know what Sclerotinia is?
No idea.
So, Sclerotinia is when the I thought I was going to read it here. But it's a disease caused by white mold, or it can cause white mold. So it's like a fungusy disease. Yeah. Clubroot is, of course, when the roots do something.
Look like a club?
I think it's when it's a soil-borne disease, So
Okay.
it comes from the soil instead of something on the plant.
Yeah.
There's actually a
Oh, here we go. It's caused by Plasmodiphora brassicae, which was once considered a slime mold, but is now put in the group of Photomexia, or Myxia.
uh, who knows?
So there you go.
It basically causes the root to die, right? Or
Yeah.
it infects the
It
root.
looks, and then it looks gross. Some of these pictures
Yeah.
of the roots. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing this ad has done, Sean, this is one I didn't rank. This is the one that I don't have on my list, and it's taught us a little something.
Yeah.
So, when we go and talk to our brethren in Saskatchewan,
Yep.
I could say, hey, did you have any problems with Clubroot this year?
Yeah.
And sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And, we're rooting against Clubroot. We want Clubroot to go away.
Yeah.
So, there is, we're into the top half now. I mean, this is a commercial that I don't mind.
Yeah. No, for sure.
It's certainly not for me, but I don't mind it. So, yeah, I'm good with it, and I like it at that number 6 spot. So now, Scott, we are into the top 5.
Top 5, baby.
And there's a couple that we've already mentioned in our top 5, but let's see where we land at number 5. What do you got?
So, Sean, I came for Curling Canada earlier. I'm going to redeem them with some praise here. And the wheelchair curling come to be a champion ad, which is showing the 2 wheelchair curlers who are participating in the teams for this year, I think, right? Or maybe looking forward to 2022 for the Olympics. They've got them, wheeling through the neighborhood, sort of showing their athleticism in maneuvering their chairs, and then they get into the rink and they're throwing some stones and stuff, and it's got some really cool music behind it.
Yep.
It's giving a chance for these athletes to be shown, which is great.
Yep.
The one place where I'll ding the commercial a bit is in the shots of the curling stones as they enter the house. It looks like they're coming from somebody who's shooting like on the side board. The angle
is
coming
weird,
in is like, holy crap! They must have thrown it. This is coming from like the other sheet, right?
Right.
So I'll knock it a bit for that, but otherwise I think it's really great and a good exposure for our wheelchair athletes.
Yeah, I agree. I have this in the number 5 spot as well, and I agree. Like, when we did say the Men with Brooms episode last summer, I'm willing to forgive Men with Brooms for some of the continuity curling mistakes. I'm way less forgiving of Curling Canada making curling continuity mistakes in their ads. So yeah, that's why I would have this at number 5 as well, because of that. I also don't really understand why when they're in the rink they're practicing in the dark. Like, turn the lights on. You gotta see where you're sending the rock down. So I find that a little strange. But I really like the tagline of, I don't know if it's the tagline, but it's used in the ad, that they're already athletes, now come see them be champions or become champions.
Right.
I really like that, and I really like some of there's one moment where it's a wide shot, so you see. It's the woman, and she's going up a ramp, and you see her going up the ramp, and then they do a wide shot, and it's her going up. It's like sort of these switchbacks of a ramp through stairs, and you sort of see how much farther she has to go to get up. If like you or I would just walk up these stairs in a straight line, and she has so much more to do in terms of distance, and I kind of like the imagery of that. Showing, again, as you said, the athleticism and the strength that these athletes already have. So I think that really is really well done.
Yeah, right on. What do you got at number 4, Sean?
I have the Scotties commercial with the woman in the parking lot packing her car full of Kruger products.
Me too.
This commercial, Scott, I think it's close, but I think it has the most rewatchability out of any of the commercials. And the reason is I cannot get enough of the way that she has organized her products in her trunk. It's crazy. So the premise of the commercial is she's at the trunk, she's unloaded her shopping cart, and she's shooting the shopping cart into the carousel thing that they have in parking lots of supermarkets. and she's treating it like a curling shot, and she cheers. That is the least interesting thing in the commercial. What is amazing is what is going on. She has perfectly organized these products as like an end cap that you would have in the store. And one, why is she doing that? As soon as she drives away, it's going to topple. It makes no sense. And two, when you look at it, she's purchased like toilet paper, like the Scotties branded toilet paper, but also the Cashmere branded toilet paper. Like, who does that? Is like, okay, I'm going to take 12 of this and then 12 of this, because only one of them is going to be on sale.
Yeah.
And you're either buying because it's on sale, or you're super brand loyal to one. Like, you really like the Cashmere, so you're just buying the Cashmere. Like, I've never seen somebody at the checkout with two different branded toilet paper things. I've seen people with two toilet paper things, but they just get two of the same one. It's mind-blowing to me that she has this in her trunk, and I want to know why.
And I believe there's a Purex toilet paper in there too.
Yes, you're right.
And I posited at certain points during the season, I think I said to you, maybe one is for the guest bathroom and one is for the family bathroom. Right. Now, but when we talk about that, which one goes where, and what is Kruger trying to say about each of their products? Is one like, no, this isn't for you, this is for your guests? Maybe she's got someone living in the house who is super brand loyal to one. I don't know. I'm a buy whatever one's on sale kind of guy.
Yeah, me too.
But I will admit that I try to buy Scotties brand or Cashmere brand or one of these brands out of support for women's curling.
Yep.
But yeah, it's insane that you would buy three.
Yeah.
She's also got the sponge towels there, and I believe the Scotties tissues stacked up as well.
Tissues as well, yeah.
And it looks like she bought nothing else at the store.
Well, there is the other thing that's amazing to me, and maybe it's a provincial thing, I don't know, but there is also a paper bag that has clearly stuff in it. You can't see what's in the bag, but there is a paper bag in there as well. And I mean, I've gone grocery shopping in like 8 provinces, and I've never been offered a paper bag, so I don't know where this is coming from. Like, did she bring her own? It would make more sense if it was like a recyclable cloth bag or reusable cloth bag, because like, is there anywhere in the country that still does offers you a paper bag? Because the paper bag isn't crumpled, so she didn't bring her own paper bag to the store.
Yeah, maybe IGA, but I'll admit, having not been there in a long time, so
yeah. Like, there's so much to look at in the trunk of that car. I mean, the whole thing of her like shooting the cart, I mean, that's mildly amusing, and like she cheers and the other woman gives her like a dirty look for some reason. Like, I don't know why that woman cares so much, but that's fine. Like,
yeah, the story of this ad is what's in the trunk.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why it's so rewatchable, because like, I've frozen this or paused on this commercial to do a full analysis of what's going on back there. And
wow.
Just been amazed by it.
Amazing.
Yeah. So very, very rewatchable. So that's number 4. So we have 3 spots left. We both have revealed our number 2 already, which means, Scott, that there's, I think, 2 commercials left, and we'll see if we match up again here on the number 3 spot. So what do you got?
I think we have to, Sean. This is the Kevin Cooey spot with Curling Canada.
Correct, yes.
Correct.
That is the correct answer
yes.
For what the number 1 is going to be. Yeah, so I agree. It's the Kevin Cooey one where he is there with Doug and talking about, again, curling fans getting close and what is too close.
Right.
To a curler.
Going through the steps of is this too close?
Yep.
Is this too close? And I think the end spot is him getting a massage.
Yes.
Weird kind of massage, but fair enough. This is family TV. We're not going to show him with his shirt off or anything.
No. Nobody needs to see that.
But this, like you mentioned, how well they use Chelsea Carey. In this one, this is the perfect way to use Kevin Cooey.
Yeah, I agree.
Kevin Cooey is not going to get too high or too low for anything. And him saying, this is okay.
Yeah.
Is really, really good.
Yeah. And I even like the sort of the button on it at the end where Doug says, what does he say? I want next, or like, I want a turn.
Yeah. Can I have a turn? I think that's it.
I kind of like that too. And I like too when it's sort of close up to Doug and then flash to Cooey and the two guys when they're doing different things. I like that sort of reveal of it too. It's like the cuts of it is nice.
Like for me, why this one is so much better than the Chelsea Carey one is the rule of 3 in comedy.
Yes.
So, instead of having just one joke, you've got 3 different jokes.
Yeah.
Like I say, it uses Kevin Cooey perfectly. 3 jokes. Get out. It's quick. Yeah. I have a lot of good things to say about this one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's very. I think there's rewatchability to it. It doesn't really ever get old. I love how deadpan the commercial is as well. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. And even so, you say like that, as you say, there's the rule of 3 with it. The 3 jokes that they go to in the commercial are pretty good. Like there's nothing in them that, like out of the 3 of them, they're pretty equal in terms of level of entertainment, I think.
Yeah, remind me what they all were again before the...
So we talk about it ends, of course, with the massage, and the guy's giving him the massage as he's laying on the desk. The first one is they sort of pop up right beside him. Right? They're sort of underneath the desk.
Right.
Their 2 heads sort of pop up like gophers.
Right.
The second one is them sort of smelling him. They're standing next to him and they're like taking in his aroma.
Do they have the big Cooey painted on their...
Yeah, so that's the third one.
Okay.
Is they come back after like smelling them and they lift their shirts, and one of them is K, one of them is E, and Cooey is holding a little O placard.
Yeah.
And then the final one, so it's actually a rule of 4 here. The fourth one is the massage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so it's a very entertaining commercial. So yeah, I think Curling Canada, because as I said, the Chelsea Carey commercial is my number 2, and I have the wheelchair Curling Canada one at number 5. I think the Curling Canada commercials are pretty good.
Yeah, this year's have been much better than before.
I thought last year's Doug commercials with Vic were good too.
They were good, but they got old fast, I thought.
They did. But so I've enjoyed that character, and we'll see what they do next with them. So as I said, I had Carey at number 2. You had the Hunter brothers at number 2, Scott, and that only leaves one. And was there ever any doubt?
Never any doubt, Sean. This is the first thing I did was put a circle and a star. This is my favorite. It's Acorn stair lifts.
Yep.
I've basically memorized this commercial. At work one day in the lunchroom, the curling was on, or this ad's even on like CBC News World or News Network.
Yep.
Showing my age there, and I can recite this, and people have come into the kitchen while I've been reciting this ad and looking at me weird, like what are you talking about? But I'm the king of my own castle. It will never get old.
Nope.
The old people being really happy to save money always makes me happy. Like, it's much less expensive than it's very affordable. Like all those lines make me laugh. I do believe they've updated this ad since it originally came out.
They have. Well, not all of it though.
Not all of it, but some
Parts
portions.
Of it. Yeah.
Presumably because the people died, but but I don't know. So love this ad. Always want to see it. I believe in one of our first episodes I joked that we had Acorn Stairlifts as a sponsor.
Yes, you did.
Unbeknownst to you. So yeah, we've got a good spot in our hearts for this ad. What do you think?
100%. There is nothing wrong with this commercial from an entertainment perspective. I just want to be clear too. We're not making fun of the product or people who need a stair lift in their homes. like we're not making fun of that at all. What we're enjoying in the commercial is, for me at least, kind of how campy and how strangely put together it is. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're making fun of. It's sort of the style through which they're doing this advertisement. My favorite thing is when they're talking about how it'll work in a power outage.
Yeah.
And the woman is sitting on it, and the lights go out, and she seems completely unaffected. Like, it's great that the stair lift works in a power outage, right? That's obviously a huge safety concern, that if the power's out and you need to evacuate the building somehow, you have to be able to get out. So that's obviously a concern. That's a great feature to have in the product.
Mm-hmm.
But this woman's power just went out, and she doesn't flinch. She couldn't care less. She just clearly just wants to go upstairs. Maybe she's thinking, oh, I was about to take a nap anyway. This is very convenient for me. But the fact that she doesn't flinch at all. The other thing I like is when it talks about how the stair lift will stop.
Yeah, if there's an
obstructed
obstruction.
anyway. And it's sort of it's being shown, it like goes into like a dog toy or something that's left, or an action figure or something that's been left on the stairs. And okay, I don't want to overly stereotype, but if you're a senior citizen and you're on your stair lift and you run into something and your stair lift stops, I think you're going to be great. Like, nothing is broken in terms of like the product, like the stair lift itself or the thing that's on the stairs. But I don't think the immediate response is going to be, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, someone's yelling of like, get this effing thing off the stairs. Right?
And a lot, maybe this is just speaking to our grandparents, Sean, but they would have been livid if there was anything strewn about the house, you know.
Yes.
Very tidy people.
Hell, if there was a drop of water on the kitchen floor, like, it was immediately getting wiped out.
Oh yeah, you got to wipe that up. You got to pick that up. Come on, let's
Leave a
go
spot.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I could see grandkids' toys being sort of strewn about and that sort of stuff. But and I want
go ahead. I have one more thing too.
I want to be clear that I am kind of making fun of the people.
Why? Come on.
I just think it's like when you say something like "I'm the king of my own castle" again.
But that's not that. Like, that's the campiness that I'm talking about.
Okay, I find that line quite funny.
Right. Okay. So let me be very specific. We're not making fun of the fact that they need a stair lift in their home.
Oh, no.
That's not what we're making fun of.
The way that they read the lines and like some of that is pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm fine with like sort of making fun of that part. Yeah, but we're not making fun of the fact that they need or want this product in their home. That's not what we're making fun of. We're not making fun of any mobility issues at all.
No, you're right.
No. The other thing that I always sort of think about is, you know, when they talk about how it folds up right into the wall.
Do you think of The Office?
Yeah. And Dinner Party, where he's talking about his flat screen TV and how it goes like half an inch into the wall. Like, how much space is flipping up the seat really saving you? Like when they're like, it folds right into the wall. It makes me laugh so much.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I'm happy every year when it comes back.
Yep. Love it.
I love seeing it every time it's on. It's very good.
Great ad. So that is by far the Acorn Stairlift #1 with a bullet. And, you know, if we were doing tiers or sort of like a more detailed ranking or whatever, it's the Acorn Stairlift and then everybody else.
Yeah, everybody else is playing for second place.
Yeah, and it's not even close. So let's go through our list real quick, our respective lists real quick. So for me, I had the Acorn Chairlift #1, Chelsea Carey Curling Canada commercial #2, the Kevin Cooey Curling Canada commercial #4. I had the Scotties, the Kruger woman packing her car at the supermarket #4, the Wheelchair Curling Canada commercial #5, the Pioneer New Holland Clubroot commercial #6. I had the New Holland Hunter Brothers commercial 7, Manitoba Canada's Heart #8, the Time for Canada Tim's commercial at #9. #10 is the Softsorbent Baby Talking commercial. #11, Ag Direct Hail Insurance. #12, Tim Hortons Bean Selection. 13, New Holland Pioneer Passion for Farming commercial. Number 14, the sponge towels, cleaning up the volcano. And number 15, all things to do with with home hardware, in particular the Shark Shovel.
Yeah, Sean, that took you a long time to read that list, so I'm not going to read mine because
Okay.
they're not too different. But
Right, they're very similar. So that is our list of curling commercials. Real quick, Scott, let's go through some of the news that came out today regarding the World Championships. The World Curling Federation announced a new proposal. We don't know for sure if this is going to go forward or not, which is why we're not going to devote too much time on it this week. But the new proposal would be for the 2021 World Curling Championships that a new proposal was put forth to the stakeholders with regards to qualifying criteria for the Olympics and the 2021 championship event structures. And what we would get in this proposal is that for the Women's World Championship, 2 Pacific qualifiers, 7 from Europe, 2 from the Americas, and 1 from the World Curling, the qualifying event, plus the Swiss as the host next year. The men's is the exact same, except 8 Europeans, 1 from the Americas, with Canada being the host.
Right.
So you'd still get overall 8 European, 2 from the Americas. For the mixed doubles curling championship, 24-team field, 20 nations that qualified for this year, plus 4 qualifiers from next year's qualifying event, with 8 being relegated afterwards. And the event would go to 20 teams in 2022.
Yes. So what this does basically is guarantees everybody who qualified in this year the ability to play in next year's.
Yes.
Basically, right?
That's basically what it would be. In terms of the Olympic Games, the World Curling Federation is proposing to the International Olympic Committee that the 4-player field would consist of the top 6 member associations from both 2021 Worlds plus China, or the top 7 if China is in the top 7, and then you would have another 3 or 4 teams qualifying out of a qualifying event to fill out the field. For the mixed doubles, you would have the top 7 member associations from 2021 Worlds plus China, or top 8 if China is there, and then 2 berths available from an additional qualifying event. The current world rankings in women's, men's, and mixed doubles will remain the same as they were, so they will not change over the 2020 season. It will be the same as they were at the end of 2019, of the 2018-2019 season. So the 2019-20 season has no effect on rankings.
Right. So basically this is just trying to not penalize the fact that these things were canceled this year. And what this also heavily implies, right, is that they're not going to try to play these world events.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that comes out of this for me, is that we speculated they might try to play this sometime in the fall, these events. This proposal would certainly be an indicator that they're not going to. The other thing to keep, or to pay attention to at least, is the World Championship now, if for the Olympic Games, if you're taking the top 6 member associations from the World Championships, or 7 if China is in the top 7, that means that in a world where Canada misses the playoffs at a World Championship, which of course we saw with Chelsea Carey in 2019, Canada would have to send a representative to an additional qualifying event to get into the Olympic Games. So it puts a lot more pressure on next year's World Championships. And you could say that's bad, that's good, I don't know, but it certainly makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's a little more pressure on next year's teams, but it would be a really crazy world, Sean, where Canada would not participate in curling at the Olympics.
Yeah, it sure would. The other thing to come out of this too is one of these proposals is that in the past for the Americas spots, it's always been 2 spots from the Americas, and Brazil has challenged before, and the way they've done it is that the lowest ranked team in the Americas has had to play off. So it's always been the Americans, except for in 2018 when the World Championship was in Las Vegas, so America got the auto bid.
Mm-hmm.
So Canada had to play, and they sent Glenn Howard to play the Brazilian team at the Continental Cup. They put it in an extra sheet. Curling Canada was visibly annoyed that they had to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if that part of this might upset Curling Canada, that they would have to play a qualification event every year now under this proposal with the everyone would compete in an America's Championship sort of thing to get those two spots. I don't know how Curling Canada is going to respond to that based on how clearly annoyed the Curling Canada folks were in London in 2018. But I tweeted this out. The Europeans are fun. Like, it's a fun event. It's fun to watch. And at the very least, even if, Brazil and there's talk Mexico might send a team, that those teams aren't going to win, certainly in the short term. But we would get an America-Canada game that is meaningful going on that would be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that after next year, the top team would still be kind of auto bid in. That's sort of what I'm interpreting from this.
Okay.
That it wouldn't be everyone from the Americas come along. But I could be wrong. And part of Canada hosting either the men's or women's every year involves getting an auto bid. So right. I don't think it's too much to worry about past next year.
Right.
But it's one of these things that, like, you got to pick somebody to send. Who do you pick?
Yeah. Just send whoever won. Like that, it's easy to me, right? Because these would take place in the fall. You just send
right.
whoever won the Brier or the Scotties, whichever one it is that year, whichever World Championship Canada is not hosting.
Right. Okay.
To me, that would be the easy answer. So the tweet from the Curling News does say that 2 from America's Challenge featuring both Canada and the U.S.
Yeah, for next year, for World Women's Curling
yes.
Championship 2021.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see if anybody objects. We'll talk about it in more detail over the coming weeks as things get fleshed out. But just sort of an interesting proposal that came out today as we record this on Wednesday.
Yeah, and there was one other piece of news, right?
Yes, Catlin Schneider was informed this week that he would no longer be part of Team Dunstone. They're in Saskatchewan, the Saskatchewan champions, bronze medalist at the Brier. They made the decision, according to the release, the very difficult decision to part ways with Catlin, and it was obviously not a mutual decision. Catlin was quoted as a reporter from CTV in Regina got an interview with him where he talked about how he was a little shocked and blindsided by it. Doesn't hold any resentment towards the team, and looking forward to finding a new home, curling home for him. And I was a little surprised to see this, but then I remembered that Colton Flash is a free agent, and that seems like the logical fit here.
Yeah, I would not be at all surprised. Is it as likely as the Sarah Wilkes to Team Homan?
What do you mean in terms of?
Like when we found out, okay, Team Homan is letting Lisa go, and the same day Sarah Wilkes was like, oh yeah, I'm out. Like,
I don't think it's quite as obvious. I think a better parallel is when Dana Ferguson and Rochelle
okay.
Brown announced that they were leaving, and the same day Kelsey Rock got rid of her front end.
Right.
I think,
okay.
And that was the logical thing, because with Homan there was a couple ways they could have gone there, and it was clear that it was going to be Sarah Wilkes, but there was like a 2% chance that they could have gone a different way. This one there's like a 0.5% chance they might go a different way.
Okay.
But yeah, so seems pretty obvious there. And of course, Colton Flash is from Saskatchewan. He did move to Alberta as part of the Cooey team, and he could stay in Alberta if he wants because he has the birthright there in Saskatchewan. So no concerns in terms of residency there for Matt Dunstone, assuming that is the decision that's made.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how it all plays out, Scott.
Yeah, just wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah, so that'll do it for this week. A long episode today, but that was a lot of fun, Scott. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was one of my ideas that I had, and you're right, it was fun.
Yeah, that was a really good idea there. So thanks for following along. As Scott said at the start, let us know if we missed any commercials.
Yeah, and what were your favorites?
Yeah, which ones do you like? Tweet at us, and again, if it's one we didn't talk about, if you can find a link on YouTube, to send it to us, and we'll tweet all the links out for the commercials that we can find. So in case you're missing any of them, you can go back and watch them. And of course, you can find us on Twitter at Game of Stones Pod, same handle on Instagram. Scott's there at Scott Likes TV, and I am at Dr. Shawnee Fever. And this week, Scott, on Twitter, I've been doing a virtual Vimy Pilgrimage Award tour because this week would have been the Vimy Pilgrimage Award. It's an organization I work with. We select kids from across the country and do First World War battlefield tours. It's all expense paid for the kids. We pick them based off of community service and people who are involved in their communities and who give back. And we bring them all together from across the country, convene in Montreal, and go. We obviously could not do that, so I'm doing a virtual one, posting some of my favorite photos of the sites from past trips. So I've been doing that this week, so you can find that as well if that is of interest.
Cool. And I've been getting a lot of reminders on Facebook and stuff of opening days that we've been to, Sean, baseball parks and stuff. So maybe I'll later gram some of that over on my account, Scott Likes TV. If you've ever wondered what we look like, our faces may show up in one or two of those photos.
Potentially.
We'll see.
We'll see how that goes. So, and please do, you can get in touch with the show at Game of Stones Podcast at gmail.com, and do subscribe if you have not yet. And you enjoy this sort of content, to give us the likes, the ratings, comments, allows other people to find the show, really helps us out in spreading the word and keeping the show going.
Yeah, and it's free, so why not?
Yeah, free show. Can't hurt, right?
Exactly.
So Scott, thanks a lot, buddy. We'll talk to you in about an hour here in real time.
Yeah, we'll see you then. I've got apparently a package available for pickup, so I should go get it.
There you go. Big day in Scott's world.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back with you next Wednesday for another new episode. But until then, wash your hands, keep your brooms on the ice, and don't dump that into.
Make the final.